I've never made it a secret that the chronograph is by far my favourite complication on a wristwatch. You see, as a professional photographer, I find myself using the timing function on so many occasions. And when my smartphone is not at arm's reach, the watch is always on my wrist. That's why I love this function. It's so practical for my lifestyle. Now, Echo Neutra is a Swiss-made micro brand which features Italian design. It's been around for several years now, and the DNA across the range of their watches on their website is also very consistent. Now, when it comes to chronographs, or any watch for that matter, it's getting very difficult to be unique in the area of designs. And I think these guys have done a really decent job in adding their own flair and styling and DNA, as I mentioned, to create their own identity. And this particular watch caught my attention. Let's check it out. Now, Echo Neutra have quite a few chronographs on their website, and the designs are dedicated to the 1956 Winter Olympics, which were held in Cortina in Italy. And this particular model that I have in my hands is a special edition for the tennis club Padova. I believe it's the oldest tennis club in Italy. And being an avid tennis fan and a tennis player myself, I can tell you this particular watch caught my attention. Now, after wearing and experiencing this watch on my wrist for the entire week, I found about 4 things which could offer room for improvement, or gripes as you want to call it, and I'm going to share that with you guys. Now, you saw the pop-up. This video is sponsored by Echo Neutra. I don't have to send this watch back, so I will of course leave all the links in the description section if you guys want to check out this watch or even this brand. Now, diving straight into the specs of the watch, I measure a case diameter of 40 with a case height of 14.3. The lug to lug is 45.9 and a lug width of 20. Now, that crown is a 7.2mm signed push-pull crown. The watch offers 100 meters of water resistance, and the total weight on either of the supplied straps comes in at around 92 grams. Now, one thing I must say, I love a clean dial, a nicely designed dial, balanced, elegant, but also legible, and that's what I've got here. It's a beautifully balanced dial. As you can see, the red accents, the blue, everything just matches, and it matches nicely. You got a beautiful 12 o'clock Arabic, and I think it's got just enough text on that dial to tell you what it is that's on your wrist and its function. Now, the overhead shows that the watch is sitting nicely on my wrist. I measure that case height at 14.3. The specs say about 14.1. It's not a proud looking watch, but it could have been a little bit thinner, and I'll share that with you guys. But the comfort on this particular Tropic strap has been absolutely superb. And speaking of that strap, the watch did come with 2 different straps. A nice blue suede with red stitching, as well as this Tropic blue rubber. And for me, the blue suede, it just doesn't feel right on this particular watch. Quality seems to be okay, not exceptional. I just wasn't drawn to it. Whereas this blue rubber is the bee's knees. It is really that good. It's so comfortable. It's been so malleable, really easy on the wrist. Now, if I turn my attention to that crystal, it's a sapphire crystal. It's domed. It's doing a great job. The AR coating is bang on. And for a white dialed watch with reflections, I've really not had legibility issues. And looking closely at that dial, you can see they've paid careful attention to details. If you look at that seconds hand, it's white. It matches the color of that dial. And for me, that is a big plus because it's unobtrusive. It doesn't show. It's a sweeping seconds chronograph. I've got it running at the moment, and there's a couple of little red markers right at the end just to show you where it is at any given time. I like that. That is very intelligent design. That shield of the Padova Tennis Club, as you can see, you got red and blue, the red on this side, blue on that side. It's nicely done. It's really nicely done. So I'm looking at the fine nuances of this watch, and even that case back, if you have a look, you've got 1956. Again, hearkening to the 1956 Winter Olympics held in Italy. So it's these little things, and whilst I'm on that case back, it's a shame that we don't actually get a chance to look at the movement. The watch offers a Sellita SW510 manual wind, elaborate grade. It's regulated beautifully. It has 58 hours of power reserve, and it's been running extremely healthy. This particular unit I have here has been running between +4 and +5 seconds per day. But as I mentioned, it would have been nice to have an exhibition case back just to view that movement. Moving on, as you can see, you've got a blue ceramic insert and it's lume filled. It features a telemetric scale. It basically allows you to measure the distance, something that's visible to you, but also you can hear it. For example, lightning or thunder, an explosion, and they used to use telemetric scales to measure the distance of enemy fire, especially at night when you could see the gun go off without flash. And then when you heard the sound, then you know how far the enemy was. So a practical device, not just for looks, can be used for certain applications. Now, since we're on the topic of lume, the watch offers Swiss Superluminova BGW9. And when we switch the lights off, this watch glows blue. It's lovely. The detail in the ceramic insert is nice. It beautifully frames that handset. And you've probably noticed there's no lume on the actual dial. And initially I thought, oh, what a bummer. But I tell you what, living with the watch, it's been great. Between that hour and minute hand framed with that lumed ceramic insert, it's actually been a very good read. So there's no complaints there. Now finally, before I get onto my gripes or room for improvement, the price. The watch comes in at €1,385, around $14.90 USD or $22.50 Australian, depends on the conversion. And for the amount of quality, the movement, the execution, the design, I think it's pretty much on par for a well-made chronograph. So having and experiencing this watch, what have I found throughout the week that I think could have been improved or even looked at slightly closer? And for me, the fact that there's no lume on the dial, it actually hasn't bothered me. However, personally, I would have opted for a slightly wider minute hand because being a white dial and having white lume, as you can see during the day, that minute hand, as you can see, the surrounds of that lume is very thin. So sometimes I've actually lost that minute hand against that white dial. So maybe a slightly thicker minute hand would have made it legible all the way to the edge of that dial. Secondly, for me, that case height, for a manual wind watch, I was expecting a slightly thinner watch. Now in saying that, it does not sit proud on the wrist by any means, but there's no rotor in the back of this, so I can't see why it couldn't have been at least a couple of mil thinner. Because 14 or 14.1 or 14.3, that's what you would expect for an automatic chronograph. And this being a manual wind without that rotor should have shaved off a few more mil. Third gripe or room for improvement, the straps that are supplied, it would have been great for them to have quick release spring bars. It just would have made it so much easier on strap changes. But even in saying that, I've been experimenting with different types of straps anyway, and I think this is a lovely watch that is drawing towards strap changes. Experiment with different types of blues, maybe NATO style, what have you, but this Tropic rubber strap has been an absolute delight as far as comfort's concerned. And my last gripe, or my fourth room for improvement, not so much a gripe, but I would have loved to see a bracelet option for this. Now moving on from the gripes, what I actually loved about the watch, these guys have paid attention to design, down to the smallest details. As I mentioned, that sweeping seconds hand on the chronograph, same colour as the dial, those subtle red lines at the end of it, the reds and blues are beautifully matched on this piece. That crown at 7.2mm has been beautiful, really nice tolerance, very good feel on the manual wind, which has been, again, a big plus. The build quality, transitions between brushing and high polish, no complaints. The sapphire domed crystal, excellent execution on the AR and its shape, I think it's ideal. The Elaboré Solida FW510 has been rock solid. The excellent loomed ceramic bezel insert, so again, the list goes on and on and on, so it's been more of a delight. It honestly feels like I've got a much more expensive watch on my wrist. So get on their website, guys, have a look. There's quite a few different designs. They've got their own unique signature in the way they do things, and I like that. So hit me up in the comments, guys. Let me know what you think either of this watch or this brand itself. I've had nothing but pleasure and joy out of it. And being an avid tennis fan as well as a chronograph fan, this seems to tick a few extra boxes for me. Thanks again for watching. Be well, enjoy the watch that's on your wrist, enjoy this hobby, and we'll see you in the next one.